Joining us now, State Senator from Stafford County, Bryce Reeves. He also formally announced his campaign yesterday for Lieutenant Governor in Fredericksburg. Senator Reeves, good to have you with us.
Hey, good to be on the show this morning, John.
All right, so you talked about running, you organized the political action committee, all the stuff people do when they're evaluating it. You ran around the state of Virginia. What was the thing that happened that you said, okay, I'm in? And, of course, last night, making your big announcement. What happened?
Well, I think it's the people, and it's not the process or as Trump kind of mentioned in his comments, the establishment. It's the people willing to get behind a candidate that understands that they are first in the pecking order of taking care of them. And we've had that. We've seen that. We've been encouraged by that. Our turnout last night and the people that came. John, I had people come from other states that were elected officials, and it was just really heart-moving. And we're excited about the future and next year.
So one of the things that you said in your speech yesterday, you quoted Proverbs 29:18. It said, where there is no vision, the people perish. How do you take that into a race for a position like Lieutenant Governor, which really is you bang the gavel, right?
Well, that's an assumption that I think most Virginians have, and the reality is that position is could be, and has the potential to be very much a lot more. And John, we've said it, we've talked many times. Being a former military officer, an Army Ranger, and understanding how some things work in the military, if you're the number 2 guy in the military, you're called the executive officer, and that's the guy who keeps the trains running on time. And so there is a unique ability there, an opportunity to actually lead in the job that you're at. And as the lieutenant governor, you're actually in charge of the Senate. Now, yes, your authority is to bang the gavel, but if you have the leadership skills, we have 40-some-odd plus endorsements from my colleagues in the House and the Senate, 30-plus sheriffs, all these people around the state, chairman and all those things. So we're a relationship builder. If you can take that position and lead and be the fulcrum to leverage those relationships, the legislature could produce so much more and get major sweeping legislation done and policy changed by doing that. So whoever is the chief executive, you can be that fulcrum for them. Trump picked Vice President Pence not because he just wanted him to sit in the Senate and bang a gavel. He's going to put that vice president to work. And you've seen what Vice President-elect Pence has done so far in the Trump administration. So, he's doing exactly what he should be doing. He's going to be a very strong vice president. I plan to be a very, very strong lieutenant governor.
Okay, so Senator Reeves, what really is inspiring this race? I know you mentioned you're looking for a different type of leadership there, but, there's a couple other candidates in. What's the real catalyst behind your decision now to go forward running for lieutenant governor? What was the genesis here?
I think last year, John, honestly, so for 5 years I've been there. And we've talked, I represent a Democrat seat here. I won 5 years ago by 86 votes.
Right.
Last year on re-election, we won by almost 63%. So conservative Republicans can win in Democrat districts. You just have to work hard. And you don't always have to go around and poke the other side in the eye. What you have to do is get them down to the table, and you got to start talking, and you got to start telling them, hey, this is why we're doing this, and explaining. Well, here's the gist. Last year, I was blessed and have the opportunity to figure out and be the lead negotiator and architect to restore reciprocity. Now, I was the only Republican in the room with Terry McAuliffe, the lieutenant governor and Democrat nominee for governor, Ralph Northam, the Secretary of Public Safety, Brian Moran, the governor's chief counsel, and Senator Chap Peterson, who I know and is a pretty decent fellow from Northern Virginia, and hammered out not only to restore our Second Amendment rights to the 420,000 concealed permit holders in Virginia, but expand it to 50 states. And if you can sit down with a very political governor on a very contentious issue like guns and move legislation forward that actually creates a win for our side, well, that's leadership, John. And that told me that if I didn't have to do 5,000 other things as a state senator, but I could focus on a few things and do them really well, I'd love to have the opportunity to do that. And we haven't fixed taxes in 40 years in the Commonwealth. And if given the opportunity, I know it's not sexy, but hey, we need to reform taxes in the Commonwealth because we're bleeding out to Texas, Tennessee, and Florida. Mm-hmm. So we need to shore up our personal taxes. We need to lower corporate taxes, and that will really be the driver to drive economic development and jobs in the Commonwealth.
All right, now that makes a lot of sense to me because, look, when Bob McDonnell got elected governor, right, in 2009, Bill Bolling was his lieutenant governor, and McDonnell actually put him in charge of job creation, right? And so he did make a difference there, so I can see where you're coming from. Senator, how do you win this race?
It's about the issues, and it's about getting out, and it's about hustling, and it's about telling people who you are, where you come from, and what you're about. We've literally hit the 50,000-mile mark on our car. And I can tell you I've been to all the counties and cities in the Commonwealth, and I've met thousands upon thousands of people. And what I know is what they've told me is that they are absolutely sick to their stomach and tired of what's happening in Richmond in that leadership. They want people who are selfless servants getting up there and doing the right thing by the people that elected them. And they are tired. I mentioned it last night in my speech about we don't need to make Virginia the swamp like Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. And I think Trump is right on message when he says that. It is a swamp, and we've got to cut out all these bureaucrats and all these lobbyists that are trying to influence this, that, and the other, and put a plan together and execute. The people demand that of us. If you talk to a lot of Virginians, they're 30 days from the street, John, 30 days from the street. And until this thing happened this year with this president coming through, the new president-elect coming through, people were not very optimistic.
Right.
But now we've had the opportunity, and let me speak to the federal level for a second. These cats in D.C. and my seatmate, Tom Garrett, who is now Congressman-elect Garrett, they're going to go up there and they're going to make some things happen because they understand the mandate that the American people gave to Washington. And I think Mr. Trump, or President-elect Trump, understands that mandate as well. And so I think that same mandate applies to those of us who are seeking higher office in the Commonwealth. At least I am under that assumption after talking to thousands and thousands of people. So, look, it's either lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. Mm-hmm. But I'm ready to lead. I'm ready to take some serious action, start changing some of the policies that we adhere to in the Commonwealth that have kept us down and allow us the opportunity to be really, truly open for business.
All right, you're going to get outspent in this race by Senator Vogel, your colleague. I think it could be 2-1. Money still matters, so how do you stay competitive when you're going to have a fundraising disadvantage?
So it's real simple. Money doesn't vote, John. And I might be outspent, but I know what my goal has to be in order to be successful. And all we have to do is hit my goal. I'm not worried about what my opponents are going to do at all. I'm worried about what Bryce Reeves and the Bryce Reeves team for Lieutenant Governor have to do. If we hit our numbers, look, when we go into combat, Colin Powell used to say it needs to be a 10-1 odds. World War II, you talk to great commanders like, hey, the Germans outnumber us 5-1. Well, guess what? I have a great uncle that was in Bastogne, and they were surrounded. And you know what the commander, McAuliffe, said? General McAuliffe told those guys when they wanted their unconditional surrender? You're nuts. And guess what? We kicked their butt. So, look, that's fine. She can raise all the money she wants to raise. I think we'll be fine. We've got a great group of people that are out there helping us financially to keep the trains running. We just have to hit our numbers. We execute our plan. We're going to be successful. Let's
get to the bigger picture in the fall. And I'm going to ask everybody that's running statewide as a Republican the same question to try to get to the bottom of this. Yeah, I just came off being chairman of the Trump campaign in Virginia. We never thought we would get beat by the margins we did in Northern Virginia. I mean, we lost 3 cities, Alexandria, Fairfax, and Arlington, by 320,000 votes. I mean, you simply can't make that up. I don't care how many times you go to Radford. You can't make it up. It's huge numbers. Plus, we lost Henrico. And we didn't get the margins we needed in Chesterfield, Chesapeake. So you look at the state now, it's blue. Democrats have won 8 consecutive statewide races, and there's no end in sight. So how do you turn the corner, and how does a Republican win a statewide race in Virginia? Looking at what we saw in 2016.
So my thought process on that, and I'll just tell you, it can be done. It's the same reason. How can you, when people, naysayers especially, there were quite a few on my side of the aisle saying you'll never get the gun deal done. Terry McAuliffe will never sign a gun deal. It's that same logic. Is if people continue to tell you can't do it, some people drink that Kool-Aid. I won't drink that Kool-Aid because I know I have Democrat friends that are willing to come out, and independents come out and vote for us. What people are looking for is people that take action and can accomplish things, not just talk it up, but put it up and actually get meaningful things done. And I think if you can articulate that message, regardless of what political party they're leading, they're going to start looking at what are you going to do for my family? Mm-hmm. How are you going to help me create a better life for my family and lower tuition and let more kids get into UVA and all these sort of things that really matter besides what political party you're affiliated with. And we have a great message, I think, that resonates with those folks. Look, John, I'm a blue-collar kid. My dad drives a school bus at 79. There are a lot of people out there that I can relate to, regardless of party, that understand because they're where I am, and they're where I have been. And I think that's the message that'll help us get there. And the votes are there. And the other thing you have to think about is it's not a presidential election. It's an off-year election. Mm-hmm. And traditionally, in off-year elections, there are a lot of people who are not engaged. There are tons of people who come out that are just presidential voters. And I think it's incumbent upon the other party to get their voters out. And look, let me just say this. Ralph Northam is a nice guy, but he didn't set the world on fire.
Right.
And so, I don't know how the top of the ticket there is going to be able to sway their side to come out. We just have to get our side out. And we have to get them out, all of them like they came out for Trump, and I think we'll be successful.
How do you appeal to Northern Virginia Democrats, many of which have come in from other areas? They work in Washington, D.C., many of them federal workers or connected to federal spending through working with various contractors. I mean, you look at the vote margin they're getting now. I mean, it put Warner over the top in 2014 also. What's your appeal? I mean, if you're in Fairfax or Arlington or Alexandria, what do you say to these voters?
Well, I think we still hold one Republican congressional seat up there, and Barbara Comstock has been able to hold that seat because she articulates what drives Northern Virginia, and what drives Northern Virginia is money.
Right.
It's about money. If you talk to the technology folks, it's about money. And that is the golden crescent, so to speak, of our Commonwealth. And so it's about changing those policies to allow those folks who are driving those trains up there the opportunity to fatten their wallets. And if we keep taxes low, which is the plan that I have, is to reform those taxes to where they have more money to hire more employees, I think that's the winning formula.
1 minute. What is the crux of your tax plan? Senator Reeves.
Well, what we're going to try to do is get corporate tax as low as possible because we know when we do that, those monies that corporations spend, and people always think big corporations. Look, I'm a small business owner. I'm incorporated. The more money I can put back into my business, the more people I can hire. I've got so much regulation over my head that I have to spend money on. If I can get more of that back, I can hire another person. And so I think if we can get those low, then we'll be able to do that. So my goal as Lieutenant Governor is to reform taxes, help to get people off of welfare. If you're a single mom and you're 2 kids in the city of Richmond, you can almost make $50,000 a year on the public dole. We've got to get those people motivated to get back into the workforce. And the last thing I want to do is continue my work that I've been doing the last 5 years to make sure that we secure safely the Commonwealth of Virginia from outside entities that want to do us harm. And I'm proud of that work, and we'll continue to work with those folks and continue to work on our veterans.
All right, Senator, we're out of time. What's your website?
It's BryceReeves.com, real simple, www.BryceReeves.com. We're on Twitter at ReevesVA, and we're on Facebook as well. And please come see us. If you have questions, email us. We'd love to answer that, and we'd love to get you on our team.
All right, we're out of time. I want to thank Senator Bryce Reeves for being with us, announced his official candidacy for Lieutenant Governor last night. Keep it right here on the John Fredericks Radio Network.